All right, welcome back to the show. Today is actually our 100th episode, which was kind of my goal when we started this thing, to get to at least 100 episodes. From what I heard about other podcasts was if you make it to 100, usually you can keep going with it. Usually the ones that fail are the ones that don't make it to 100, which is similar to a business, right? Most businesses, startups don't last more than, I think it's 3 years, 1 year, something like that. Once you pass that threshold, then it usually works out, just because, more than likely you're probably dedicated and you're all in on that, which is one of the things I kind of want to cover today. So with this being the 100th episode, I would have loved to have all the guests on that we had in the past, but that's just not feasible. Out of 100 shows, we probably had 60, 70 guests, somewhere in there. So appreciate everyone coming on, and excited for the guests that will come on in the future. And also, while I'm at it, this is a 100th episode. In a way, I'm somewhat celebrating, and I am in my new office. I finally have an office outside of the house, which is nice. But it is, I literally started moving stuff in yesterday. So today, this is kind of as of now, my makeshift podcast studio, I guess. So I will be more than likely making a change, although this backdrop isn't all that bad. But that's kind of a celebration for me. I kind of wanted to do, I knew I was getting the space, and the 100th episode was coming up. So I kind of wanted to record the 100th episode in the space. So that's pretty cool. So that's my celebratory action that I'm taking for our 100th episode here. So with that said, let's get into it. I kind of wanted to, for whatever reason, I was just kind of going over things and what I'm going to talk about. And the first episode just kept hitting me. Like, I need to talk about that, because that first episode is probably very similar to this episode as far as setting things up. My space right now, if you could see behind the camera and next to it and everything else, it's an absolute mess. But I knew I need to get this episode done. Almost up on the deadline here to kind of get it in, to get it edited and sent out. But also, I just need to do it. It's probably been 2 weeks since I've recorded last. So I've been sitting on this. So it kind of goes back to episode 1, which was just take action. Just do it, right? We do have quite a few people that do watch on YouTube, but they're going to get the same value whether it's this kind of makeshift studio or anywhere else. So number one is just do it. Just take action, which I think 99.9% of people do not do. They have to have everything perfect. And that's what goes back to my first episode. I remember, and I'm trying to remember, I should have looked before I started recording here, but I don't even think we had video. I think it was just audio. And I do remember doing it 3, 4, 5 different times because it wasn't good. But I needed to practice those first few times to at least get the things out that I wanted to say. But so many people just don't take action, or they don't take consistent action and they don't stick with it. There's so many people out there that just want to test the waters, see what it's like, and then jump back into what they think is maybe their safe lifestyle or their safe job or whatever it is. To me, safety, especially now, is way different. Doing what I do now compared to what it was 15, 20 years ago, especially coming out of college. I thought safety was having a 9-to-5, climbing the corporate ladder, having a 401k or retirement. I didn't even know what a 401k was at the point, but having a retirement plan. And then as I started learning from others that are doing more than what I was, and further along in life and more successful and everything, I learned from those people, and not necessarily firsthand. A lot of those I was learning through podcasts and books, but I realized that there was a different world out there, and it wasn't just a 9-to-5. And I'm not, and I say this a lot, but I'm not putting down 9-to-5ers. We need them. They're great. We need them for the economy. If we didn't have them, the economy would look pretty bad. But if you're looking for more, there is more out there without a doubt. And you can have both. You can have best of both worlds. I know some people that have a W-2, and also whether it's real estate or side business or whatever, side hustle. I know a lot of people that do that as well, and they kind of have the best of both worlds. So kind of going back to my first point, take action. Just take action. And then after that, take consistent action. And then it does get boring. Listen, I've been in storage for, technically been looking at storage for 7 years. So we can kind of say 7 years. It's gotten kind of boring. Now when I landed a deal, that's still exciting to me. But staying the course, staying in it, becoming a complete master at your craft, at whatever you're doing, is super important, super vital for success. The longer you're in it, the more success you're going to have. As long as you're all in, you're around the right people, you're educating yourself, whether that's through other people, groups, masterminds, books, podcasts, whatever it is, you got to go all in. And we've talked about this obviously before too. And then and we kind of talked about the risk thing, but you've got to kind of get out of your comfort zone and take some risks. In fact, I've got a buddy that I coach baseball with. Our sons play on the same team, and we coach baseball together. He just went on a mission trip for a week, 7 days to Puerto Rico, and he said he's working on, and it may have been his wife that's pushing either him or family, I don't remember, but he was working on getting out of his comfort zone, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. He knew he was going there not knowing literally anybody. He didn't know anyone going on the trip. He didn't know anyone there. Majority of the people there, well, I think all the people there didn't speak English other than like a 6-year-old girl who was his translator. But he knew he had to step outside of his comfort zone. And that's how we grow. We don't grow by staying in our comfort zone, doing the same things day in and day out. And that can probably relate to a lot of us that are in a 9-to-5 doing the same things. Even outside of a 9-to-5, I will admit that there are times where I'm kind of stuck in the same rut, doing the same things and not pushing myself outside those boundaries. Where honestly, this podcast for myself is good for that. Getting this office has been good. Getting me out of, I won't say a rut, but just new things, right? Experience new things, push yourself. And you'll be amazed at what you can do. Kind of looking back at the I guess 99 episodes, past 99 episodes. The people that came on, the personal stories were crazy inspiring. I'm sure people listening now that have listened to those I'm sure there were some stories hit you personally. It's hard to pinpoint exact stories, but because there's so many good ones. But the key takeaway from everyone's story was there was some type of a low point for that person, and then they wanted more, and then they found that, and they took off, and they stayed with it, kind of back to taking action and consistent action and all that. But at some point, they had a low point, so they had kind of a big why. And if I were to go back to every guest that we had on the show, my guess is every person, if not 99% of those people, had a low point, and then they kind of came out of that by switching gears, and whether it's starting their own business, getting the real estate, whatever it is, they switched gears, and then they had a success story, right? Most people that came on, I think everybody that came on, were some type of success story, but they were losing at some point. And that's kind of, I'm in a season right now, and we'll see how long the season is. But both our kids are in competitive sports. And youth sports, to me, is not what it should be. Because I don't think that a lot of them put too much emphasis on winning. And really, you need to lose to learn. You need to lose to win. And I don't think that's talked enough about, especially in schools, right? I mean, we get these report cards and these grades, and they compare them to other kids in the school district, and then and these are state test results I'm talking about, but they compare to the other kids in the school district, and then in the state, it means absolutely nothing. I absolutely hate it. It probably gives me a little bit of PTSD because I went through the same thing. I was never at the top. I was probably middle or below. And you know what? It means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. School just bothers me a lot. Youth sports does too. We won't dive into that. My guess is a lot of people listening probably feel somewhat the same way. But going back to, us being taught not to lose is kind of what schools do. They want us to win. They want us to get A's. If you get a D, if you get an F, you're failing, right? That's not how the real world works, right? You always have another opportunity. If you have a loss in the real world, you always have another opportunity. But you've got to learn from that loss, and then you got to grow from that. So the more losing that you do, the more winning you're going to do, as long as you're learning from the losses. And I think that's the key takeaway. And that's probably something that youth sports and the good ones do that. But that's also what schools should probably implement is, yes, let's set you up to, in a way, lose at first, lose early, lose often, but you need to learn how to correct those, whatever you did from losing. You need to figure out what you did wrong in order to, quote unquote, win going forward. Take risks, go out and lose big. It's only going to create bigger wins down the road. Another kind of takeaway that I wrote down here from the past 99 episodes that I want to talk about, which I've talked about a lot, is, and we just kind of hit on it, having a big why and then big goals. I don't think people have big enough goals. I think a lot of people probably have dreams. I don't know if they have actual goals that they believe in. And I heard this, I'm trying to think where I heard this from. I don't remember now, but the more that we believe in something, whether that's winning, quote unquote, winning or losing, or whatever it is, somehow it kind of manifests. And it actually was a podcast I was listening to. So I think this guy was talking about, I don't remember if it was fantasy football or playing the lottery or something like that. The odds were very low of him winning whatever it was. We'll pretend it was a local lottery or something. But in his mind, he was actually shocked when he found out he didn't win. And that's just kind of his mentality. He's going into everything thinking, there's a very good chance I'm going to win this thing. And I don't think many people go through life like that. And that kind of goes back to how we're taught, in schools and growing up. We're not really taught that. We're not taught to kind of be lucky, and sometimes it is luck, but we're not taught that. We're not taught to kind of feel like the odds are in our favor. And when he said that, it's funny because I was able to reflect and kind of look back the last, we'll call it 10-ish years for myself. And I kind of knew, and that was when I was working my W-2, I kind of knew that, hey, I know I'm getting out of this thing. I know I'm getting out of the rat race, and I'm going to have either my own business or I'm going to get out through real estate investing, whatever it was. I knew that was going to happen. I didn't know when. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew it was going to happen deep down. And looking back, I can say this. At the time, maybe not as much, but deep down, I knew it was going to happen. And I think that's why it happened. And I still have some probably deep down thoughts that are positive affirmations like that I believe are going to continue to help me reach the goals that I want to hit. So you got to have big why, got to have big goals, and you got to believe in yourself and believe in your goals. Another thing I kind of want to hit on was, and maybe one of the last ones here, the people that I interviewed seemed to be happier, maybe more fulfilled when they weren't chasing how many units or how many doors or how many properties they had. And I wanted to bring that up because I think that's and I know I've talked about it before, but the more I kind of get further into this, the more I realize unit count doesn't matter. Door count doesn't matter. How many real estate investing properties you have does not matter. I do believe it's important to scale, but these guys that are pounding their chest, or girls that are pounding their chest saying they've got 2,000 doors, 5,000 doors, it means nothing. A lot of those people, and a lot of them are on social media doing that, and they're trying to more likely try to sell a program. But a lot of those people that are doing that are probably syndicators and have, at this point, especially with where interest rates are in the market is, may not have any equity in those deals. So just be careful, and I've talked about this, but be careful who you're following, who you're learning from. But unit count, door count, facility count, whatever it is, does not matter. It may make you feel a little bit better, like, hey, even myself, hey, I've got 14 self-storage facilities. It doesn't matter. It matters about the cash flow. It matters about how fulfilled you are. And to me, you do have to keep growing in some fashion. We're growing in different ways right now in our business, with a call center. We're growing basically our operations. Our operations over the past 18 months have improved so much, that I believe it sets us up to, a lot more success now, but also going forward, able to pick up more properties and be successful with those as well. With a better chance of doing that because our operations have improved so much. So yeah, don't chase unit count. It's not a metric. It's not a good metric to count. It is important to scale, but it's not an important metric to really pay attention to. So that's really all I've got today. 100th episode. Again, appreciate everyone for following and listening and watching. It's been fun. I'm excited to see where the next 100 go. And I am looking to mix up the format a little bit, mix up the interviews a little bit. And now that I've got an actual space to have people in person as guests, I'm excited to do that. And hopefully that'll be coming up soon. But again, appreciate everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.